In a world where shadows often hold more than mere darkness, there was one called the Chosen One, who pondered deeply on the eerie comfort that the devil seems to find in ensnaring a human spirit, leaving behind nothing but emptiness. This pondering led the Chosen One to question, why do we, as humans, so frequently gravitate towards this darkness? Perhaps it is the lingering whispers of past atrocities, or the sting of sharp rebukes endured at the workplace that fuel this affinity. A streak of cruelty appears, woven into the very fabric of humanity, manifesting in cold, heartless actions that seldom yield any visible gains. Even more bewildering, this harshness can emerge from the most unexpected quarters. You might witness it in someone celebrated for their kindness and generosity, or more startling, you might discover these traits arising within yourself. Such puzzling shifts from benevolence to malevolence were explored by C.S. Lewis in his profound work, The Screwtape Letters. Through this narrative, Lewis unveils the subtle maneuvers a demon might deploy to divert a soul from the course of righteousness. This tale extends an invitation not only to those who hold spiritual beliefs, but to anyone intrigued by the human condition. It compels us to examine how easily we can stray from our moral compasses and commit deeds we later rue. The Screwtape Letters prompts a reflection on the perils of becoming overly self-absorbed and the startling ease with which we can deceive ourselves. While my exploration of Lewis's work will adopt a secular viewpoint, the profound themes it delves into are vast and rich, meriting a deeper contemplation and understanding. Delving into the deeper realms of our nature, chosen ones stand at the forefront of confronting and managing the darker impulses that dwell within us. Recognizing these shadows is merely the first step. Actively engaging with them is where the true challenge lies. As we venture to understand our potential for cruelty, it is imperative for chosen ones to soften their nature, thereby paving the path towards a world imbued with compassion and empathy. Through the lenses of literary figures and introspective reflections, chosen ones are beckoned to temper their less favorable tendencies and cultivate a more gentle, understanding manner of interaction. Revisiting the age-old notion that ignorance is bliss for now, chosen ones uncover a profound truth embedded within the fabric of society. John Stuart Mill's words echo through time, proclaiming that the triumph of evil is facilitated not merely by the actions of the corrupt few, but by the inaction of the virtuous many. Edmund Burke's observations resonate similarly, revealing how a small, well-coordinated group of malevolent forces could dominate a larger, scattered collective of good if left unchallenged. In a narrative that intertwines the diabolical with the everyday, the character Screwtape provides sinister guidance to his young devil apprentice, Wormwood. Their mission, to keep the human charge, designated as the Chosen One, distracted from engaging in moral reasoning. Screwtape, a cunning entity, recognizes that most chosen ones have a firm grasp on moral fundamentals, a sentiment mirrored by Tolstoy's insights into the human condition. Despite this foundational understanding of right and wrong, Screwtape reveals a troubling strategy. The true battle is not over the understanding of morality, but over its significance. As Screwtape strategizes, he divulges that trivializing these moral senses is key. He notes that chosen ones, like many before them, often hold beliefs not solely for their absolute truth, but for the social currency these beliefs provide, whether they are seen as progressive, intelligent, or aligned with prevailing narratives, be they modern or historical. The allure of ideas thus extends beyond their logical merits to their social prestige and relevance, presenting a nuanced battlefield for the chosen ones as they navigate the complex interplay of morality, society, and self. In the unending journey of the chosen ones, the subtle dance of influence and distraction plays a pivotal role, weaving through their days like a persistent whisper. While Screwtape's musings might bear a sheen of cynicism, they reveal the profound interplay between morality and perception that defines the chosen one's existence. This dichotomy does not merely prompt them to discern the correct path, but also to understand the forces that might render truth less impactful or relevant in their daily decisions. The constant tug-of-war between insight and diversion underscores the timeless significance of confronting moral challenges directly, irrespective of the shifting tides of public opinion. Screwtape, in his cunning wisdom, advises Wormwood to ensnare his subject, a chosen one, by diluting their perception of concepts such as ethics, divinity, and moral standards, painting them as theoretical constructs devoid of practical utility in the tangible world. He suggests that the chosen one should eschew deep reflections on matters of right and wrong or the adherence to steadfast principles. Instead, their focus should be riveted on immediate concerns, mundane decisions about daily sustenance, or trivial day-to-day engagements. Should the chosen one veer towards contemplations of ethical or spiritual matters, Wormwood is to swiftly divert their attention back to these trivial pursuits. This strategy is meticulously crafted to cultivate a deep-seated disinterest in values and ethics among the chosen ones. While they might verbally espouse certain ideals, the disconnect between these proclaimed values and their everyday actions widens, rendering such principles effectively impotent. This chasm between moral ideals and lived reality becomes a critical exploration point as we delve deeper into Screwtape's machinations. The overarching aim is clear. Screwtape seeks to ensure that the chosen ones do not form solid ethical convictions. They are not to be swayed from their morals overtly. Rather, their focus should be subtly but consistently redirected away from such considerations, particularly when adherence becomes challenging. The logic is straightforward. If moral considerations fade into the background, overtaken by more immediate and less consequential concerns, the foundation for ethical reflection weakens. Further, by pushing ethical thoughts to the periphery, Screwtape intends to create a reality where daily distractions naturally ascend in priority. The focus shifts from what should be done to what can be done right now, cultivating a habit that sidesteps moral introspection. This tactic gradually reshapes the chosen one's focus, layer by incremental layer, until the notion of engaging deeply with ethical or moral questions becomes utterly foreign. This transformation not only breeds indifference, but also solidifies the gulf between principle and practice. Indeed, Screwtape highlights a poignant observation. Many, including the chosen ones, are not truly committed to stringent ethical codes. Reflect on Christianity, which demands actions bordering on the heroic, generosity to the poor, enduring suffering for faith, loving adversaries, and championing the marginalized. These requirements seem almost superhuman. The same daunting standard applies to secular ethics, like utilitarianism, which mandates treating everyone's needs with equal importance, regardless of geographical or emotional distance. As this narrative unwinds further, with no conclusion in sight, the chosen ones traverse this labyrinth of distractions and moral quandaries, their journey marked by continuous discovery and the perpetual challenge of aligning divine purpose with earthly existence. In a world where ideals often overshadow practical realities, a certain chosen one grapples with the conflict between personal morality and societal expectations. The narrative begins with a reflection on the principles laid out by Peter Singer, advocating for a utilitarian approach to ethics that sometimes calls for extreme self-sacrifice. While the ideals are lofty, the chosen one finds them somewhat detached from the warmth of familial bonds, a dilemma that resonates deeply within. The allure of these rigorous ethical standards is not lost on the sinister Screwtape, who revels in their ability to muddle true moral values with convenient, albeit hollow, notions. Screwtape's machinations are not just about leading astray, but revealing a harsh truth. The chosen one, like many others, doesn't yearn for divine connection as profoundly as professed. Instead, they discover a reality more gratifying than initially sought, a revelation that comes with its own set of repercussions. As the chosen one reflects on their own life, a candid admission of their struggles surfaces. Attempts to live up to these high standards often falter, particularly when swayed by fleeting moods or personal discomforts. A bad day, for instance, can easily dismantle their facade of principled living, exposing a latent cynicism that only emerges in adversity. This personal acknowledgement leads to a broader contemplation of how easily core beliefs are sidelined when life's so-called reality intervenes. The chosen one's journey then takes a poignant turn, delving into the subtleties of spiritual neglect and the seductive power of worldly distractions. Here, Aristotle's notion of practical wisdom echoes as a caution, urging the chosen one not to forsake their deep-seated principles too hastily, despite the temptations that life presents. Amidst these reflections, the sinister guidance of Screwtape and his accomplice Wormwood becomes evident. They exploit the chosen one's vulnerabilities, particularly through social influences that steer them away from their spiritual path. The story illustrates how the chosen one's associations, especially with a materialistic friend and a circle of elite thinkers, profoundly impact their ethical stance. Striving to impress this new, sophisticated circle, the chosen one begins to parrot opinions that conflict with their moral convictions, gradually adopting a dual nature that oscillates between devout adherence in private and casual dismissal in public. Screwtape's goal for the chosen one, to embody a life of contradiction, praying in church yet dismissing those values among high society peers, highlights a chilling strategy of manipulation. This duality fosters a mindset that becomes self-righteous and hypocritical, where the chosen one, viewing themselves as inherently good, slowly drifts from their core values toward what's socially expedient. The transformation is subtle yet profound, leading them to a point where cruelty often seems easier than kindness, and manipulation becomes a second nature. As the chosen one navigates these complexities, the narrative continues to unravel, leaving their journey open-ended. The gradual shift in their moral compass, influenced by both demonic machinations and societal pressures, paints a portrait of a being caught between the ideals of a higher calling and the pragmatic realities of human existence. This ongoing saga, without a definitive conclusion, invites reflection on the nuances of morality in a world that often demands more than one can give. In the shadows of moral ambiguity, the chosen one finds themselves navigating through a thicket of societal norms that often lead astray from genuine values. This journey begins when the demon Screwtape, a master of manipulation, articulates the most effective state of mind to instill in the chosen one, a dismissive flippancy. By cultivating a stance where no moral code is taken seriously, Screwtape's goal is to wrap the chosen one in a cocoon of sarcasm and superficiality, causing them to forget their core beliefs and become indifferent to the truth. Each opportunity for meaningful reflection is squandered, transformed into a mere display of wit. For the chosen one, committing to real values becomes an unthinkable risk, as declaring beliefs openly would expose them to criticism and vulnerability. Thus, a culture of flippancy thrives, where chosen ones dodge true convictions, morphing into moral voids while congratulating themselves on their apparent cleverness. Screwtape and his apprentice, Wormwood, seize this void, aiming to fill it with their own diabolical desires. This once passive cynicism now evolves into something more active and menacing. Even the presence of morally upright individuals does not guarantee the chosen one's safety from corruption. Surrounded by those of strong morals and genuine faith, the chosen one remains vulnerable to Screwtape's subtle manipulations, which cleverly distort the perception of their own moral standing. Screwtape's strategy involves fostering a haughty self-righteousness within the chosen one, convincing them that mere association with virtuous individuals confirms their own goodness. Instead of aspiring to emulate the virtues of their peers, the chosen one begins to scorn those outside their immediate circle, fostering division and resentment. Screwtape outlines this as a fundamental rule of hell, promoting self-centeredness and a misguided belief that happiness is a zero-sum game. The narrative then explores how demonic influences exploit social bonds to gradually erode the chosen one's foundational values, constantly nudging them towards divisiveness and selfishness. Rather than empathizing with his mother's struggles, the chosen one perceives her as merely irritable and demanding. Esteemed friends, instead of fostering humility, breed disdain for outsiders and deepen the chosen one's internal conflicts. Aristotle's praise of friendships based on virtue, which should elevate us, is contrasted with the reality that even such relationships can be perverted to bolster our darker impulses. This is mirrored in modern-day interactions, particularly visible in the chaotic realms of social media, where it's easy to lose one's moral compass. C.S. Lewis highlights the danger in believing oneself superior, a sentiment that can fuel historic atrocities and everyday injustices alike. As the narrative winds forward, the chosen one, guided by Screwtape's insights, may believe they are upholding their moral principles, yet their actions diverge sharply from these values. This gradual realization pushes the chosen one to ponder the true nature of their interactions and the authenticity of the moral compass they claim to follow. As this reflection deepens, the journey continues, with no conclusion in sight, only a perpetual grappling with the complexities of morality in a world fraught with demonic deceit. St. Augustine's reflections on his journey from indulgence to enlightenment shed light on the hollow nature of worldly pleasures. He learned that these pursuits, while momentarily gratifying, paled in comparison to the deep satisfaction derived from spiritual growth and theological exploration. His past, once filled with ephemeral delights, now seemed barren, echoing C.S. Lewis's depiction in The Screwtape Letters of how fantasy feeds into cruelty by masking the heart's true callings. In Lewis's narrative, Screwtape, a seasoned tempter, teaches that a human is a blend of fantasy, intellect, and will. He advises demons under his tutelage to nurture fantasies that never morph into action, while letting pettiness and malice guide the will. This advice resonates with the ancient Stoic separation of thought inception, belief, and action. A chosen one might fantasize about profound spiritual guidance or societal change, setting grandiose goals, like donating all their wealth or achieving moral perfection. These ambitions, though noble, are often framed so distantly they remain fantasies, out of reach but vivid enough to feel imminent. This illusion of achievement can be seductive. The vividness of our dreams might convince us that we've already accomplished them, leading to a premature self-congratulation. We believe ourselves destined for greatness, and this belief can sometimes erase any doubt about our moral standing. If our intentions are so noble, we argue, how can our essence be anything but pure? Yet the real world often narrates a different tale. Temptations to act on anger or spite can disrupt our best intentions. Pride may cloud our judgment, turning acts of generosity into mere transactions. When we snap at loved ones or justify harsh words, we convince ourselves of their necessity, viewing these slips as minor compared to our overarching benevolence. This deception allows us to maintain a belief in our inherent goodness, even when our actions contradict this self-image. The danger lies in this dissonance between our idealized self and our actions. High moral standards can make everyday faults appear trivial, pushing the concepts of good and evil to seem almost theoretical, beyond our daily reality. This detachment from the Greek ideal of practiced virtue keeps us from acknowledging our daily misdeeds, perfectly suiting those who'd rather we didn't engage in self-reflection or face potential guilt and change. Instead, we rationalize our shortcomings and repaint ourselves as fundamentally benevolent. According to Screwtape, realizing these flaws often pushes a chosen one from self-righteousness to despair. Having long seen themselves as fundamentally good, the sudden confrontation with their imperfections can lead them to feel irredeemable. Like Milton's Satan in Paradise Lost, they might choose to reign in their personal darkness rather than strive toward enlightenment, thus embracing a life that subtly condones cruelty as an inherent trait. This cycle of realization and rejection encapsulates the eternal struggle between light and darkness within the human soul. C.S. Lewis, in his portrayal of evil, refocuses our attention from monumental historical events to the everyday decisions we face. He argues through the voice of Screwtape, a demon, that the essence of good and evil transcends overt actions. Whether through grand misdeeds or minor selfish acts, both paths can lead to the same dire outcomes. This perspective forces us to consider that the line between right and wrong is not reserved for the dramatic interplays of historical figures or overt villains, but is also present in our daily interactions and choices. Lewis's insight compels us to scrutinize the ordinary moments, questioning if our actions genuinely reflect the virtues we claim to uphold, or if we are merely succumbing to lesser selfishnesses, thus blurring the lines between personal integrity and moral decay. Screwtape's final letter brims with fury and frustration as he scolds Wormwood for losing control over their target's mind. Now, under divine protection, their manipulations fail, illustrating a central theme in C.S. Lewis's writings, the liberating power of divine grace that frees individuals from the clutches of temptation and evil. Lewis reflects on the accessibility of redemption, a concept further explored in The Great Divorce, suggesting that acknowledging our flaws, however painful, is the initial step towards overcoming them. Lewis shifts the focus from overt sins to the subtler, everyday evils, contrasting them with simple acts of kindness. The protagonist, once prone to petty cruelties, now exemplifies virtue in daily actions like offering a used ticket to a commuter, checking on a stranger, or simply uplifting those around him with his presence. These small, consistent acts of goodness, Lewis argues, can steer one towards salvation, presenting an optimistic view against his earlier, more somber assessments of human nature. While the narrative heavily incorporates the divine in discussing moral behavior, it also engages with historical debates on human autonomy in achieving moral perfection. This discourse echoes the views of Pelagius, a 4th-century thinker who believed that humans could achieve ethical perfection independently, a belief contested by St. Augustine. Augustine maintained that only through divine grace could humans aspire to moral excellence. These ancient debates remain relevant, raising questions about the nature of forgiveness and how we support others on their path to betterment. In a secular age, the concept of forgiveness takes on new complexities. Who grants forgiveness when society steps away from religious norms? In the Screwtape Letters, Lewis explores the notion of a selfless love that seeks others' well-being without expecting anything in return, a concept foreign and puzzling to hell's denizens who believe in possession and selfish gain. Lewis proposes that virtues like charity, forgiveness, kindness, and humility all stem from this fundamental desire to genuinely benefit others. This altruism, aimed at others' well-being, stands as a potent antidote to the selfish impulses that demons cultivate. Thus, Lewis posits that even without religious faith, striving for selflessness lays a path toward moral excellence and redemption, providing a framework for moral behavior that transcends theological boundaries, offering a blueprint for living a virtuous life irrespective of religious beliefs. In his writings, C.S. Lewis invites us to celebrate the achievements of the chosen ones as joyfully as our own, advocating for a kind of everyday holiness that transcends religious boundaries. This approach promotes not only a non-religious form of salvation, but also a life filled with genuine concern and kindness for others, a challenge that is both noble and arduous. Lewis suggests that this mindset, while difficult to cultivate due to our inherent selfish motives like possession or vanity, is a journey well worth undertaking. Echoing the sentiments of thinkers like Dewey and Camus, Lewis's perspective integrates the essence of Christian charity with the Buddhist principle of loving kindness, which is a crucial step toward enlightenment and a peaceful existence. By nurturing genuine happiness for others' successes, chosen ones can experience profound satisfaction, even in a secular context. This concept is particularly relevant today as traditional religious beliefs increasingly come under scrutiny and society becomes more secular. As we delve into the ideas of religious and philosophical scholars, it becomes clear that for centuries, discussions on forgiveness, charity, and love have been intertwined with the divine. However, in a world moving away from these traditional moorings, it becomes essential to redefine these concepts on our own terms. We must craft new philosophies of redemption and compassion that resonate with both believers and non-believers. Lewis challenges us to ponder what an atheist's take on the Screwtape Letters might look like and how it might differ from the original, encouraging a re-evaluation of how civilizations might decline due to destructive philosophies. This inquiry does not claim to have all the answers, but certainly merits further discussion and exploration. As chosen ones, embracing these insights can enrich our lives, guiding us toward a more empathetic and tranquil existence, thus shaping a path to our own form of salvation.